Okay, IED, this is going to be the next part of 2.1.3, making the selfie stick. Last time we had created the base and the slider, and we had attached or fastened this top area, this top device, up into the stick. We're going to keep going with this, and the next logical step is to take this, I believe this is called a shoe. We're going to take this shoe and we're going to move it up into the selfie stick assembly. So remember, you've got to be careful about what you click on. This is the clicking is the most important part in this setup. So we're going to exercise caution whenever we use our mates up here. I want this thing to move around. I want it to rotate around the pivot point here. So in order to get it to rotate around that pivot point, we're going to have to use the Revolute mate. The Revolute mate allows you to go in a circle around something while keeping the degrees of freedom locked. Now, don't forget, there's this, whenever we have the mate set up, there's this push out and there's push in. I'm always going to try to keep it on the push out like this. And if it ends up being reversed, I can always just flip it over later. So I'm going to move myself back into this spot, and I'm going to see if I can get this to push out as well. Okay, there it is, and that was probably not the best idea, because I probably wanted this to be on the inside. Maybe I can fix it real quick. Nope, just kidding. Let me try again. I'm going to try to put it on the inside. That's a good example of what not to do, though. We're going to do Revolute Mate. We're going to click on this, and you know what? That makes sense whenever you see it. This outside here needs to be attached to this inside here. That part was just kind of dumb of me. There we go. Now we can flip this over like this, and we can have it set up. Now it's down there on the bottom, and we want it to kind of rotate around, so we're going to need to add some limits to this. So let's play around with some degrees and let's see what we can come up with a positive limit and a negative limit. So let's see if we've got, let's see, going to the right, let's try like 120 degrees-ish, and let's try 120 degrees for that one too. Let's see if that actually like locks it in place on just one spot in particular. Looks like we might need to do negative 120. Let's try negative on one spot. So let's see here, negative 120. Nope, it doesn't like negatives, so just kidding. All right, we'll try 120 and 120 and we'll see what happens. And I'll click check mark. We should be able to rotate this around now. And it looks like I have got it set up to not move at all. So let's go back in, right click on the Revolute, hit edit, and we're going to change this. Let's see if we can change this to 0. Okay, how about, all right, it looks like we're starting down at the very bottom. So why don't we change this to 90 degrees? And let's change this one to 270 degrees. Let's see if we can do that. Green check mark. So it starts off with 90 and then it moves over and goes to about right there. That would be like the maximum limits that you could put on this thing. You probably want to be a little bit safer and move towards a little bit past 90, but I think this will work out just fine. Okay, this is as far as you can actually get it to go. All right, so we've got our assembly put on. Now it's time to start assembling the part that actually holds the phone. So this assembly part has a rod, and if I remember correctly, that rod has a hole in it. Oh, actually, it looks like it's just a stick. Oh, let's see. Okay, well, that's fine. Um, we can deal with that. What we're going to do is we're going to make it to where this thing slides in. Pretend that this thing is hollow on the inside. Whenever they designed it, they did not make it hollow on the inside. We're going to pretend. So we're going to use the slider mate, and we're going to make this end. Make sure we zoom in so that we can actually see that we're in the center of the circle. And we're going to make sure that that slider is on this side, and that should put it in place. Now, I think we're going to have to put some limits on this as well, too. So whenever you look at it, you should be able to push and slide it in, but you don't want to be able to slide it like out. So we're going to need to put some limits on this. So the maximum distance that we're going to need to be able to have is right where we are. So let's call that 0. And the minimum distance that we're going to need to be able to put it in, let's try 1.5 inches, and we may have to go back in here and edit this in order to make it work. Maybe we should try it the other way. Try 0 for the minimum and 1.5. Oops. All right, let's try that. See if our limits are actually put in the right direction. Oh, looks like it's working. Okay, and it actually looks like that was a reasonable distance to put in as well too. All right, so you know what? At least that works. I'll take it. I'll totally take it. All right. Now, the next thing, we're going to, let's see here, insert this screw inside. And in order to do that, we're going to use the cylindrical mate. So instead of using the slider mate, I don't want this screw to slide in. I want this screw to be able to also be able to rotate to give it some semblance of some realism. So we're going to use the cylindrical mate for this one. So I'm going to click on the cylindrical mate, and I'm going to click on the center of this circle, and let's go ahead and push this one in since I know that it's going to be going inside. Maybe that'll keep it from being flipped over naturally. And then I'm going to try to get the bottom of this screw. Oh, it looks like I got it. I'm going to put it there. So it should go into place. Let's see if it actually did. Look at that. That's so pretty. It's almost an accident. So we're going to click our limits, and we don't really need a degree limit because this thing should be able to rotate around 360 degrees, but we are going to need to put in a minimum and a maximum limit. So let's go ahead and say that our minimum is 0, and our maximum that we can go in is, let's see here, I don't remember how long this screw is. Why don't we just go for an inch and pray? I think that's probably the best. And we're going to click the green check mark, and let's see what happens. I can click this and move it in. And it looks like, ooh, I went the wrong direction. My limits need to be reversed. See how this goes out instead of in? So my maximum limit needs to be 0 and my minimum limit needs to be an inch. That's okay, easy fix. We'll go over here to cylindrical, right click, and then click on edit. And we're going to change these limits. So say, okay, my minimum limit is 0 and my maximum limit is 1 inch. And we're going to, let's see, that should work. Let's see. Maybe if we do 0, -1. I don't think this thing likes negative numbers, though. Yeah, it really doesn't like negative numbers. So, let's see. 1, 0. Maximum mate limit shouldn't be. I really don't want to flip this over. It doesn't really seem to want to agree with me here. I'm going to go back to 0, 1. But 0, 1 goes this way. Let's see. I might have had my mate go backwards in order to get this to work. Let's see. All right. Maybe if we do put it back in backwards. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to delete this constraint. So I'm going to right click, I'm going to delete this constraint, and maybe I should have taken my own advice from the very beginning. If I use the cylindrical mate right here, and I'm going to click on the outside, and then I'm going to make this one click on the outside as well too. I got to zoom in and find it though. Where'd it go? There it is. All right, and we're going to try that. We're going to see what happens. Let's get this to go back to the home view and see if I've actually got it set up right. I should have mated. Must not have worked out the way I wanted it to. I'm going to try again, one more time. Third time's a charm. So I'm going to go to cylindrical mate. I'm going to click on this hole, and then I'm going to click on this screw. I'm going to try my best to get over on this side and click on this. Yeah, there it goes. I'm not sure what happened last time. And then we're going to try to put in our limits. And these limits should work out. So we're going to go 0 for the minimum and 1 for the maximum. And we're going to see what happens. Yep, and whenever I put it in with the right way, whenever I take my own advice that I had at the beginning with making sure that those mate orientations were set up in the right direction, I'm able to screw this in and it goes to about 1 inch and then it stops right there. So this is a good spot for us, and I think we'll handle part 3 of this video where we take the assembly and attach the assembly up onto this for next time. So you guys have a great time, and I'll talk at you later.